안녕하세요. 저는 광탄고등학교 2학년 박민정입니다. Hello, my name is Park Min-jung and I attend Kwangtan High School in South Korea. Have you ever wanted to live abroad? There are many pros and cons to living abroad. Let me tell you about my experience when I lived in America. At the age of 6, I had moved to the United States with my siblings. My siblings and I quickly adjusted and were able to become fluent in English right away. We made friends instantly as well once we moved to America. Let me tell you about my experience with racism, bullying, and the differences of American and Korean school life. Let me tell you about my experience with racism during middle school and high school. During middle school, boys would walk past me in the hallways and say things like "ching chong ching" as they walked past me, and they would make their eyes slanted towards me. People would also say, the boys mostly would say, German Shepherd egg roll or Chihuahua soup, assuming that I ate dog meat as part of my diet. I hated how they made me feel and how they made fun of me for being Asian. Unfortunately, it wasn't just me who had been dealing with this type of racism at our school. Another girl had it so hard she even had to go to school counseling to deal with the racism she was getting from the other boys. In high school, I didn't expect as much racism from the other students. Unfortunately, I was wrong. A girl came up to me and asked me if I could see out of my eyes normally like everyone else could, because of my eye shape. And I thought that was a weird question, but I just let it slide. Another experience I had to deal with was when I was working at my part-time job at a Mexican restaurant. A grown man came up to me and asked me why I decided to work at a Mexican restaurant. He asked me, "Why are you working at a Mexican restaurant when you're Asian?" And I simply just told him I was busy and walked away. I thought that was a weird question, and I told my coworker about it, and he told me that it was a form of microaggression. Microaggression is a term that you will see right up here on the screen. After 10 years of living in America, I had to move back to South Korea. It has been very difficult because once I moved to Korea, it was hard for me to express how I was feeling and how I was able to say it into words due to the lack of Korean language that I knew. I'm not very fluent in Korean at the moment. But once I came to Korea, there have been many differences. For example, school life, America versus Korea. In Korea, after school, you would have to attend academies. For example, English or math academies. But in America, you wouldn't need to attend academies because you would learn everything at school. In Korea, there are rankings at school. There's 1st through 7th ranks, I'm pretty sure. But in America, there is no ranking, so people don't have to compete with other students to get into 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade ranks. In America, we have more options. We get to pick most of our classes. We would have extra time after school to pick extracurricular activities. All the differences from America and Korea is the racism. Once I moved to Korea, I didn't receive any more racism. But other foreigners that didn't look like Korean people did receive racism. Foreigners would, for example, when I was at a market, foreigners who weren't wearing a mask were told to leave the building when all the Korean people weren't even wearing masks either. It is the year 2020 and a lot has happened this year. The coronavirus pandemic has put the whole world in lockdown, and the Black Lives Matter movement is still happening today. I wish everyone can reflect on what's happening in the world right now to prevent further racism and injustice from occurring in the future. Thank you for listening. Bye!